If you want to radically transform your life and take your health to the next level, click on my Breath is Life course below. This will optimize your breath as well as your meditation. And I'll see you after the video. Hey guys, Troy Casey, Certified Health Nut here in Santa Monica, California. And in an effort to bring you guys, powerful, enlightening information, different perspectives. Obviously, my bag is health and consciousness. So anything underneath the sun of consciousness, we talk about here on Certified Health Nut. And so I wanted to bring Malik Yoba on. He's got a unique perspective. He's grown up in New York City. He's a leader in the Black community. He's a successful actor, which is a huge feat within itself. And then from there, a successful businessman, and he helps at-risk youth. As far as I know, he introduced me to my friend Arjuna in South Central, and I've connected with him on that project, as well as I know he's got to get off this recording and talk to a bunch of youth as well. So we don't hang out very much. We don't know each other very much, but I wanted to bring this leader and this voice onto my platform and just hear his perspective, and as two men moving forward with civilization and humanity. My mission is to raise human consciousness and change all systems. My vision is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all of mankind in my lifetime. My solutions for humanity are free energy, evolving past oil and the petrodollar, gift economy. Ubuntu is the word in the Zulu nation from South Africa. It means contributionism. Permaculture and self-care education. When we know how to take care of ourselves, we automatically take care of the local environment we are around. So without further ado, Malik, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my mother's sitting right over there. She taught me not to talk with my mouth full.
All right.
That's great. That's a great intro, bro. You are that guy. We met at a party in I don't know where was it. Where was Beverly Hills or something?
Mm-hmm.
And just struck up a conversation and just vibed. Just two men talking about similar things. Consciousness, because without consciousness, we're unconscious, and there's a lot of unconsciousness in the world. People are moving about, not really thinking deep thoughts beyond. It's like survival, right?
Well, I like to say
hierarchy of needs, right? People are like vibrating on pretty low frequencies because they simply have to survive, or whatever that is, right? Whether it's they don't have the economic resources to live as abundantly as they would like, which is always rooted back to the consciousness on some level, or they have all the abundance in the world, all of the material possessions, but those things keep them distracted as well. Mm-hmm. And so that person that might be living in poverty and vibrates on a low frequency could look at a person with abundant material wealth and think that person has it all together. Those things aren't always, related. And so, for me, it's always been about education on all levels, not just the academic stuff, but the spiritual stuff, the things we can't see, how energy moves, how we connect with, divine energy. That's kind of when you and I met, that's what it was about, right? I see you and I felt you, not just see you, but I felt you. I was like, this is someone who speaks my language, so we can connect. And then try to connect you to someone else, Arjuna, who you mentioned, who's providing healthy food in South Central LA. I know that's your focus, or one of your focuses. So for me, it's just been about how do you make the spaces you occupy better? How do you make sure everybody eats, right? We live in a world of lack. Even though we have all that we need, we live in a world of lack. Lack of empathy, lack of love, lack of opportunity, lack of resources, lack of connection, lack of vision, and so when you can see that, you tend to want to either exploit it for your own personal good, or you want to, help other people see the light, so to speak, so that they can live more abundantly. And that can show up. Yeah, I work in Hollywood as an actor, but as a writer, producer, entrepreneur. It's why I do real estate, why, I work with young people, why I do anything, why I write the types of things I write or produce, because it's all with the intention of showing people how to vibrate higher. How's that? Now you can talk back, and I'm gonna eat some more. Something you'd like. Well, that's actually rice noodles. Do you eat rice noodles?
Yeah, my wife is Korean, so we make this thing called dukkguk, which is rice patties, which is amazing, with a little bit of egg and anchovy. I don't know. The Koreans, they make it amazing, but they're little rice patties. But yeah, I eat the rice noodles, and I eat the yam noodles, the glass noodles as well, which are delicious. Yeah. So let's roll back. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, which is kind of cutting edge psychology. The people at the top of the pyramid that have their needs met are the only ones that can think for the rest, according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And so I think it's up to us in the West to really start to wrap our head around designing systems, not just for ourselves. I mean, I've activated abundance factor, but also just look into, we're only healthy to the degree we're conscious, and we're only conscious to the degree we're healthy. And 70% of the American people are obese or overweight right now. That tells me you are what you eat is an axiom that's not going away anytime ever. And so most people are being fed poison or inflaming their system. And 70% obesity rate is huge. 1 in 2 cancer, diabetes is 33%. So yeah, we're only as aware as we are healthy. And we are part of the environment. That's what my book is all about. I sent you the copy of the book. It's as above, so below. How do we expect the world to be healthy if we're not healthy ourselves? And I use the balance ball and the natural law of correspondence, as above, so below, as an indicator for the book, because I came out of the Amazon in 2006 and I saw the deforestation and the destruction, and I saw the oil companies and the lumber companies and the agribusiness companies. Oil exploration was the #1 deforestation component, and the Indians naturally burn their own trees for charcoal, and they use the forest. So I watched all the NGOs and the do-gooders, and they're just like, hey, stop cutting the rainforest down. But we have a whole slew of people that are living off of the rainforest. So how do we live symbiotically with our incredible thirst right now for oil and natural resources without displacing people? So I'm a solution oriented human being. And so I'm always thinking, how do we get the solutions? How do I get the attention of the populace that has their needs met, and then start moving forward in agreement? And again, my platform is clean air, water, soil, and equitable systems for all mankind in my lifetime. So however it shakes out.
People think you're a socialist?
Well, I mean, they can try and go down that road, but then I just point out to them with corporate subsidies, we have what's called corporate welfare, and that's a form of socialism. So right. Don't come at me with the socialism. And no, I'm beyond any kind of dystopian socialism, Marxism, or any of that. But I do believe that we can create. There's 4 needs for human beings: water, food, shelter, and fire. Fire represents technology, so that could be a car transporting goods and services, or communication devices like this. 4 human needs. Everything else is a want, and we have the technology to serve mankind for that right now. Permaculture will feed the whole entire world. We throw away as much food as we manufacture in the United States. In Los Angeles, we have 1 in 4 children is food deprived. So we can solve our problems. We just have to build systems around it that aren't intertwined.
Well, that goes back to the consciousness, right? We're living at an incredible time where the world has felt the pain of a black man, which tapped into their own pain and frustration. People take to the streets in the middle of a pandemic and potentially put their lives at risk because the need is so great to be heard.
Mm-hmm.
And it does come down to those four things. And I think that COVID showed us that we kind of don't really need much more than what we have, right? If you had shelter, if you had food, sorry for all the movement, you were good, right? You felt secure. And a lot of people didn't even have those basic needs being met. And so I'm with you, man. All my life, this is all I've really cared about. Like, how do you make sure every child at the table gets to eat? There were 6 kids in my family. 3 of us didn't just eat, and the other 3, 2 didn't just eat. And I've never understood, to your point, we have all the resources we need to feed everyone, but we don't let that be the case, that everyone gets what they need. Greed, capitalism, those are byproducts. Well, one feeds the other, right? Because there's a lot of people who are into capitalism, myself included.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm definitely about making $1 or
Mm-hmm.
10 or million, whatever. And I don't see any limit to what I can do. But then there are those that just want to think selfishly and hoard it all for themselves, as if that's the marker of a great human being. And to me, if you have it, give it away. And to your point about how do you get those that have their needs met, think more altruistically. It Peer-to-peer education and influence is the greatest of all, right? And so when people, like, I have a friend who's actually also a business partner. He considers himself a compassionate capitalist. He's a billionaire. We've been on these Zoom calls. Even before this, like, even why he's invested in a film that I directed about real estate in New York City. The project called I Build New York, which is all about how do we make sure that these kids that live right down the block in the projects from a billion-dollar development that's going up, how do those people in that community get equity in this city that they have no ownership of, that's changing around them? People like Scott Reckler, who's the person I'm talking about, of RXR Realty here in New York, he understands that. And so he's like, okay, I'm gonna partner with you to make sure that, you have what you need so you can tell these stories and help bring more people that look like you into this business, which is, one of my other businesses, real estate development. And so more of that, and it's accelerating. I've been on Zoom calls with him since, the protests, where he's actively looking for, individuals or organizations to help fund and create sustainability, to your point, about making sure that everyone has what they need.
Mm-hmm.
People like him, for sure, because there's only, something like 1,500 billionaires in America or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most of them know each other.
Mm-hmm.
And those that really are moving the needle, like, to affect us all, it's people like that, having connections with people like me, having connections with people like yourself. That is certainly part of the solution. But this is our inheritance, man. These problems didn't start with us and our generation.
Mm-hmm.
We're just trying to do the best we can for our kids and our kids, and take it up as a purpose, for it's chosen us.
Yeah, was it Gil Scott Heron that said the revolution won't be
Televised?
televised? But
Revolution will not be televised.
I postulate that the evolution will be digitized, and it's happening right now.
It's happening right now, bro. It's happening right now. Both things are happening at the same time, right? There's definitely a leap forward for consciousness. Mm-hmm. Mitch McConnell, bro. Mitch McConnell today.
What did he say?
That they were wrong. They need to listen to the people. He turns to his one black friend, one black Republican, and says, what do you think, Jerry? I don't know the dude's name. But, dude, do you understand how huge that is? Mitch McConnell admitted to being wrong.
I mean, look.
That's what happens when a dictator, Trump the dictator, he's tried to dictate. The general rebuked his moves. all the folks around him are starting to go, you know what? Roger Goodell, Trump, had a hissy fit when Kaepernick took a knee and, slammed Roger Goodell. Now, the rest of the world. So we are witnessing a shift in consciousness right before us. It's
Yeah,
profound.
there's so much going on. I mean, there's so many new revelations happening daily. I can't even pay attention to them all. So my question to you is, what is our responsibility as men moving forward? I mean, if the politicians have gotten us so far, if society's gotten us so far, we the people, it's up to us. What are some of the next moves in awareness and consciousness elevating that we can help the community with? How can we solve our own problems?
Well, hopefully, so many ideas are popping in my head, right? The concept of like, mind your business, right? That's the world we have kind of lived in. You need to mind your business. Leave that up to them. You're an actor, don't speak out. You're a fucking athlete, don't speak out. You're black, don't speak out. You're white, don't speak out. You're fat, don't speak out. You're tall. Like, that's the kind of overriding messages that people live with, right? And so they go, all right, I'm not going to say anything because I don't think that's really my place, or I shouldn't. Even little things like seeing someone be rude in front of you, right? People see, the implicit biases in, a woman told a story I posted. A woman told a story I didn't post it, but I saw a post about a woman telling a story about, she was in the elevator. She greeted the two young white couples that came. She's a black woman. Two young white couples that came on as she descended. Then the third stop, old elderly white couple gets on. She says hello to them as well. They don't respond. When the elevator gets to the ground floor, everyone leaves. The older man sticks his umbrella out, he says ladies first, the older man. Mm-hmm. The two white women exit, the black woman goes to exit, he sticks his umbrella in her way and it says, I said ladies first. The two women that walked out that she had just greeted in the elevator said nothing and kept it moving. In those moments, when you witness some bullshit like that and you choose to say, I'm gonna mind my business, that's a fucking problem.
Oh, that's a big problem.
Hopefully, this moment we're living in, everybody could join. Those of us that have already been in the give a fuck business. I've always told people I'm the CEO of I Give a Fuck Incorporated. So I'm always minding other people's business because their business is my business, in that I see their humanity. And so whether you're homeless, whether you're gay, whether you're trans, whether you're incarcerated, whether you're poor, whether you're rich, whoever you are, right? I can still see your humanity. So I, as the CEO of I Give a Fuck Incorporated, if I see you in need, or I see a gap in understanding, whatever it might be, then I'm going to do something within my power to facilitate that. And hopefully this moment helps people who feel now that they're enlisted into something. The protest, the revolution, the evolution, they need a playbook for a lot of people, right? Because they don't know what to do. People want to do stuff, right? But they don't always know what to do. So those of us who have vision and have been in positions of leadership, and I don't consider myself just, a leader in the Black community. I happen to serve all of humanity. Definitely Black folks can recognize who I am and the love is there. But my work has been international and, multicultural my entire life. The actor part has always been there since I was a kid, but the community activist part since I'm 16 years old. Like working in communities, working in schools, after school programs, tutoring kids, putting, social programs together. I got beaten up by 4 white cops in New York when I was like 22 years old, right? Trying to break up a fight in the street. I tapped a cop on the shoulder because I got separated from my girlfriend, who was this Peruvian woman who presents as, green eyes, blondish hair, but she's Latina. right? And we know that Latinos can go either way, which is a whole other story in terms of how they are perceived and treated by law enforcement. In this case, she was given preferential treatment where I got literally pounced on just for tapping a captain on the shoulder, say, "Excuse me, she's with me." And I got thrown on the hood of a police car, manhandled, roughed up, handcuffed, put in a, you know, in a cruiser, taken to the precinct and charged with disorderly conduct. But I had an opportunity to take that issue up with the police commissioner because of the work I was doing with young people, which led to working with the police academy to work on sensitivity training. This is in my early 20s. I'm 52, as I mentioned, right? So not to toot my own horn, but this has been a passion of mine my entire life. How do you serve something bigger than yourself? And so I think it's wonderful that people are now starting to feel like I can be involved. So specific to some of the stuff I'm in terms of moving forward, you know, one of the things that I'm really interested in is a Truth and Reconciliation Commission for the United States. You mentioned Ubuntu in South Africa. Well, they have had one. Japan has had one. Germany has had one. Rwanda. They've been all over the world. United States has never had one. And so I think even having a Mitch McConnell admit that they were wrong, that's the first time I saw that white man tell the truth. Everything else that comes out of his mouth, as far as I'm being concerned, is like, you're full of shit because you have this lion-ass white man in the White House and you will never, ever, 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 ever call him out on his lies. So what do we do moving forward? We tell the fucking truth because white men have been lying forever. And then the reason why Trump isn't silenced is because other white men are saying, well, that's what we all do. We know that this is a fucking farce, since the 11 men that wrote the Constitution all had at least 2,000-3,000 slaves among them.
Do you also know the story that they co-opted the majority of the Constitution from the Iroquois Confederacy and the divine feminine component that was left out?
Yeah. We give them a little break because, you know, most of those dudes were young, right? Aren't they pretty young when they were ignorant? They weren't, you know, but I don't know, man. We can go on and on, but I just think that the work has to continue. The number one question people are asking is, what happens next? Where do we go from here? And I think just continue to do the work, man. Continue to stay in the give a fuck business. Continue to serve something bigger than yourself. Continue to educate yourself. Ask questions. Stay curious. That's the biggest part. It's the lack of curiosity. If people remain curious, which starts waning in human beings around 12, believe it or not, where kids become a little less, hey, what's that? What's that? As anybody who's raised teenagers knows, that 12, 13, 14, they don't want to talk. They get all in their own head. But if we can remain curious as adults and continue to ask questions, as opposed to making statements and declarations, ask questions. Why do you feel that way? How do you see things? How do you think I feel? Tell me about your traumas, where a lot of this stuff lies, right? Everyone's walking around with their traumas anyway, like the individual, whatever that might be. And so we don't always have time for other people's pain.
Well, and once the honeymoon's over, you get to deal with the shadow, whether it's in business or love relationships.
Yeah. And, you know, I've been swimming in my traumas a long time and talking about them, not knowing as a younger person how healing that was. I used to think I just had diarrhea of the mouth and I talked too much. And you leave conversations, go, damn, I can't believe I told those people that shit. But then I do it again. So given the traumas I've been through, by the time I actually addressed them, a decent amount of work was already done just by talking about it. So, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting out here, it's starting to rain. I might have to go inside.
Well, what people don't, that's fine. What people don't realize is because you've had the camera on your life so much, I know this is what happened with me being in front of the camera. There's a lot of introspection.
Hold on, I really need to move now. The rain's coming.
Yeah. The only thing I was saying is there's a little bit of introspection. You have the camera on you,
Right.
But usually you want to keep your facade shined up. You want to get a semblance of health and peace and harmony, usually in front of the camera. And that makes you do a lot of your inner work. Did you find that in your career?
Well,
That led
hold
you
on.
to the deeper parts of yourself?
Since we're recording this, let me get to a better place.
Yeah, face the light, baby. Face the light.
Let's see. Hold on. Let me
Face the light.
You talking to a man who works in film?
Yeah. Yeah, baby. It's all about that digital candy. Got to have it look good, baby.
All right, we got a little more light. That look good? Good enough for you? Hold on.
You look good, man.
All right. You can't see the sty in my eye. That's good. I'll take that glass of water, please. Thank you. All right.
Sty in the eye. You're probably not gonna like my natural medicine plug on that, but you should use some urine. The urine will get rid of that. Just put fresh urine right on it.
You know what's? I think did someone tell me? I know. Okay. I'm gonna do that.
The styes are a pain in the ass. You might as well try it. You can also do a hot compress with salt, and it'll make it sweat.
Yeah, no, I have. I've been doing that, and I also have this little product actually that I got before when I had one called Goodbye or Goodbye Sty or something like that, which actually works. It's like an oil based. Yeah,
it's all stress related. I had one last year, and I did a lot of research on it. So get some rest.
Was that your first one?
I think it was actually in my 50s. Anyways, did we get a little sidetracked? Well, we were talking about how in front of the camera can make you look introspective because you want your outward presentation. I know for long careers, me and my friends, we've gone through, a lot of people end up taking care of themselves. You start taking care of the outer, you start realizing, oh, there's an inner too, and there's some deep spiritual work that can be done. Did that happen with you in your career?
I mean, I came into it already. Like, for me, I feel like.
Is that your mom?
Yeah, she's.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi. Is he? I'm down here.
You're an awesome mom. I love your son.
I know, he's wonderful.
For me, I feel the blessing. Well, speaking of my mother, actually, I got turned on to Buddhism when I was 16 years old. The chanting specifically of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, even though I was born Muslim. As a kid, I never felt I connected with Islam. I always had a problem with, a God I couldn't see. And Islam, certainly the way we were raised, my father was very strict, right? So as a kid, and growing up in a Judeo-Christian society, you already are at odds with everyone around you, just ideologically. So Buddhism made sense to me because it was based on the law of causality, the law of cause and effect, right? And so every action has a reaction. And so the chanting of Nam Myoho Renge Kyo and putting your intention on a vibration and then seeing things manifest, for me as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, I felt like I had the magic wand. I literally did, to be so young, to chant for very specific things that would manifest in my life. And I was like, oh shit. And so I came into the business as an adult with an understanding of that, right? And there was always a desire to keep my thoughts, which lead to my actions, right? And obviously the consequences, in a positive place. So you have like this innate desire to just help people and be of service, and a sense of always do the fucking right thing, dude. Just like be kind, even though I'm not perfect and I don't always do the right thing and I make mistakes and I'm flawed like everyone else. But I think, so there was never that kind of existential moment in the career where you're like, well, who am I and what's really like, it was always like, I'm doing this to be of service, right? So like when my first big film, Cool Runnings, we were the first time Disney ever had 4 black guys in a movie. So on set, we already knew like, yo, we're representing something Disney has never done. So mind your, be on your P's and Q's and, show up on time, know your lines, do the right thing, represent properly. That was a consciousness that we had doing that movie. And then after that, I did New York Undercover, my first series. And I was a cop and I was a father on a TV show at 26 years old. I took that very seriously. And how do I represent this love between a father and a son? And what am I going to communicate to the public? So everything from the types of props or the type of business I would do in a scene, whether it's cooking with my kid as opposed to what was scripted. My character cooks a TV dinner. I'm like, nah, get real vegetables and meat, whatever it was, chicken, whatever it was, and let's prepare a meal. So because that's a cause that's going to have a reaction, an effect, right? And people are going to see that, and they did that. So for me, I'm actually having I'm having a moment now, like at 52, like really like taking a deep, hard look at the journey and the choices and the conflicts and the obstacles in my life. And, I just had a therapy session on Friday night with my ex-girlfriend. We've been broken up a year and we still talk, and we were still working through our stuff, taking accountability for how we got to where we got to, knowing we needed a third party to just process with us, even though we're not together and the intention isn't necessarily to be back together. It's just like,
yeah, I don't know if I told you since we met, though, I went through a divorce, right?
Since we met with your wife?
Well, no, I was divorced when we met, and we started working on the book together. She's a designer. She went to Parsons. And we went down to an ayahuasca center, a 5-star ayahuasca center in Costa Rica. I was doing media down there for them, media exchange. And we were already getting closer together. And my single prayer was to, have peace and harmony with her, regardless if we were together or not. I actually had never intention of getting remarried to her. I remarried her on ayahuasca in the jungle in October. It's all in the book, man. I can't wait for you to read it. It starts out with Tupac Shakur and Donatella Versace in 96, a month before he died. So, and it brings you up into real time. And
is that when you were modeling?
Well, yeah, it goes back 30, 40 years all the way. I was incarcerated as a youth. And anyways, the book is got a lot of great stories, but we got remarried and we're doing work with our spiritual advisors weekly, daily. She's doing all her inner work, which she wasn't doing before, between hypnosis and working with ayahuasca and plant medicine. Yeah, so I applaud you for, working with your is it your ex-girlfriend or whatever the case may be? And just
that was my lady for the last from 2016 to 2019. 3 years. So we still love each other very much, and have always said no matter what happens, we're always going to be in each other's life. Yeah, man, it's the work, right? And that's one of the things. Like, where do we go from here? 2 things I'm focused on: the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and education. Like, we have an opportunity to radically, turn around education. Yeah, we defund the police, refund motherfucking education system, because that's the greatest national security issue is fucking lack of education. We got a bunch of dumbass motherfuckers walking around because they aren't educated.
Well,
right?
and Malik, I postulate we need self-care education. You need to know how to take care of the liver, the kidneys, the blood, the skin, the gut, which is the brain. I mean, that's the foundation, because that's what Gandhi says, become the change. When you're taking care of this real estate right here, we have the potential from there to actually holistically help something else. But
Yeah.
unless we got this on lockdown, how much help can we really be?
Yeah, I'm actually gonna have you. I'm gonna add you to the list for the people that I'm gonna do on this initial call. So I've got people from like the New York State Health Commissioner, another friend of mine who's a doctor. I've got my good friend, the real estate developer. Got a guy from Bank of America that's they're giving $1 billion over the next 4 years. So I'm having people from finance, from real estate, health, criminal justice reform, education, and media as part of
Killer.
the initial core group of people who are already doing work, right, in the spaces, conscious work. And, we aren't going to be the only folks in the world that are talking about these things, but we want to be able to contribute to those conversations in a very meaningful way. And that's the proactive approach to like, well, what do we do now? Fucking get more busy.
That's right.
Like I've been more inspired during COVID in the last 2-3 weeks than I was starting to come out of my like funk of like, what the fuck is this extended vacation bullshit? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not used to moving this slow. I'm like, so in the last few weeks, it's recalibrating and, started a podcast. So I'm on my 3rd episode. Next Friday we'll do, where it's called Craft Service, where we, it's a friend of mine, Elena Huffman, and I, she's another actor. And we interview people in our business through the lens of film and social justice issues or just issues. The themes are, it could be social justice, it could be love, relationships, whatever it is. But through the lens of film, we talk about deep and important and pressing issues, self-care, whatever it might be. So that's been a lot of fun. And, we play games and just have found a really entertaining way to talk about movies and what we do in a thoughtful and meaningful way. So that's been fun. And yeah, man, just getting busy, bro.
Sweet. So why don't we wrap it up? Because I know you've got other meetings. How's your family doing? How's your mom? I see your mom there. I know you're trying to stay healthy. You're eating clean. How's your family? Like, let's bring it home a little bit more, and then we'll end it.
Yeah. The family is mom has Alzheimer's. I'll just be straight up with that. So that's been a trip. Like, so she's here because I'm a caregiver, especially during this time of COVID. She lives alone. She's lived alone, and that can't be the case anymore. So between myself and my sister, we hold it down, along with my 19-year-old that's with me. I have 3 kids, 22, 18, 22 and 18-year-old. We can do a whole other episode, but I will say it this way. They're making different choices these days. And so they're with their mom. Well, one is in Paris and the other, he lives with their mom. But it's interesting. It's an interesting time family-wise with that question, because as a parent, speaking of vibrations and all those things, accountability is a serious thing. And so we can be in relationships. You mentioned you and your ex-wife, right? She's your wife again, and she's now doing the work she wasn't willing to do before. And unless you do the work, you usually are doing this kind of thing to people. You, and you did this, and you didn't do that, and da. So my kids have been drinking that for a long time, and now it's coming out as they're a little bit older in ways that I didn't expect, because as a parent who understands other ways of thinking, the value of making sure that you're making causes constantly to instill like the values of accountability. And here are actual conflict resolution skill sets, so you can navigate those uncomfortable places without wigging the fuck out or accusing people of shit, and really being able to step back and,
Just as an FYI, I got a Native American who's awesome. He uses Marshall Rosenberg's nonviolent communication, and this guy will hold anybody's feet to the fire. So if you need a consultant, I got your guy. This guy's awesome.
As long as people are willing to do it, you got to be willing to do the work, bro. Look, even Mitch McConnell said we were wrong. Like that, my mind is blown what that means. All the folks around this fascist in the White House are beginning to say, no. He's gonna be the only one. I'm right. Everybody else is wrong. That's what it's like, actually. People like that. That's what happens when it goes unchecked. You end up like Trump. Everybody in the world is wrong, but you. You're the smartest person in the room. You know more. You're more successful. Everybody else is beneath you because you know it all. Like,
God, his NLP is on point, though, isn't it?
NLP?
Did you study NLP?
What is that?
Neuro-linguistic programming, pre-framing. It's all the aspects of psychological marketing. Joel Bauer probably has some of the best. He trained Tony Robbins, the Wolf of Wall Street. Neuro-linguistic programming, he's repetitive on what he wants everybody to think and understand about what he's doing. His NLP is phenomenal. It's mind-blowing. It's basically, it's what's happening in television advertising. It's what's happened in media for so long. They're repeating their narrative.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a name for that, but I've always pointed to that being the one good thing about him. I'm like, if nothing else, what Trump believes, he fucking makes happen. Like, he does. And that there's one that doesn't care what the narrative is. You're gonna lose. No, I'm not. Nope. And people need that. They do need to take some of that belief that you can do whatever. Because there's so many people who don't believe that they can achieve the things that are in their heart.
But that's correct. And that's one of the number one things I teach. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, we can achieve. And I believe that we can ground peace on earth, on the planet, no different from the Wright brothers wanting to fly like an eagle, utilizing alchemy or Neoplatonic philosophy, speaking into existence that which we desire from our heart and programming the mind as a tool.
Sounds like a good button on our little conversation, bro. So I can prepare for the next one.
Yeah, do that, and let's just stay in touch. Let me know that you got the book, and then I'm going to send you out a T-shirt as well. And God bless you and your family. Right. Thank you so much for this discussion. Let's stay in close contact, man.
Yeah, good to talk to you, man. I'm glad we were able to make it happen.
God bless.
Yeah, peace.
Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and then check in the description box. All the programs that I have to take your health and consciousness to the next level is in the link below.